Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the highly elusive Transformers Studio Series Toys R Us exclusive Thundercracker. This is a repaint of the Transformers 5 Nitro mould and it has been distributed to Toys R Us stores only. I managed to acquire mine from an online retailer as these unfortunately never hit the UK, and Toys R Us in the UK, as of this past weekend, completely closed all of their UK stores. As always with this Studio Series line, take a look at the packaging, the backdrop, and then we're going to take a detailed look at the figure himself. Bringing the packaging in for a closer look is very standard to all these Studio Series figures. We've got a very nice concept image of essentially Nitro with a brand new head plugged on, much like the figure. Obviously Thundercracker did not appear in Transformers Dark of the Moon. However, it is nice that we're getting some of these made-up characters integrated into the Studio Series line. To Karatomi, you've got the Toys R Us exclusive sticker. The side of the box has a really cool concept image of Thundercracker. The back of the packaging showcases Thundercracker in both his robot mode as well as his jet mode. It states that he is big screen inspired and doesn't actually have any cross sales. It does just show you Thundercracker on his backdrop. The side of the packaging has a larger image of Thundercracker, states that he's from the Studio Series and that he is figure number 09. Now, bringing his backdrop in for a closer look, it's actually a really cool piece of art. Obviously this isn't from any of the Transformers movies, but it's obviously an aerial battle. You've got loads of different Raptor jets flying around, missiles all over the place, and you've got explosions, which is really cool. And when you actually put the figure on this display, it does set for a really cool scene. Now, bringing Thundercracker in, this is going to be more of a comparison review than a full-on review. The figure has been detailed exceptionally well. Bringing it in for a closer look, the head sculpt looks extremely reminiscent of movie Starscream, with some distinguishable differences, such as the larger, more insectoid eyes. Bringing in the Studio Series Starscream, you can see that they have replicated the actual shape of the head fairly similarly. However, this one has just got more eyes than Starscream and definitely does give a very insectoid type of appearance. You've got the machine guns that carry over from the Nitro mold. The torso section has been detailed impeccably, and you've also got some variation in the colour. You've got this yellow piece going through the middle, which is supposed to replicate the cockpit of Thundercracker. This arm is obviously just a very kibbly piece of junk. You do have the entire nose cone of the jet, and it does form this type of harpoon weapon. This other arm has just got a machine gun, very similar to the Nitro mold. I would have perhaps liked it if Takara Tomy and Hasbro had taken this forearm section off and given us a brand new forearm. That would have definitely made this figure a little bit more distinguishable. He has intake written on both of the top of his knees, and there is a mixture of black and blues throughout the legs, causing for a really nice dynamic. Turning the figure around, we do have the jet engines that Nitro had as well. We've got the Decepticon insignias on either side. There is a few ways that you can do this back section. You can leave it flat like this, or you can compress these and display more of this nice pinstriping detailing. Overall, I'm thoroughly impressed with the overall look for Thundercracker, and he definitely does make for a very original looking design. Now, in terms of accessories, similarly to Nitro, he does come with these two missile pods. These do tab onto the back of the jet exhausts at the back of him. However, I'm going to choose to actually leave these off, as I do think that it does make him look slightly more like his own character rather than just a complete Nitro repaint. Now, if I compare him to a Studio Series Voyager, such as his Seeker mate Starscream, you can see that the mould is quite large and definitely does scale extremely well with Starscream. I definitely do think that these two look like a great pair upon display. I do hope that Takara Tomy and Hasbro give us the third Seeker, that being Skywarp. That really would make for a very cool set of movieverse Seekers, something that we didn't unfortunately see in the movie. Upon comparing Thundercracker next to his mold mate Nitro, you can see the striking similarities between the two. However, I think the choice of paint applications as well as the brand new head sculpt really do help to make this figure extremely distinguishable from the previous mold. Personally, I do believe that the mold works better with Thundercracker just due to the distribution of colours. Nitro was a fairly bland looking character. Whilst detailed, he did lack some paint. With the extra paint apps and colour scheme applied to this, it really does set the mould up to being probably one of the best jet moulds that we've ever had for the Bayverse. Now, another similarity that Thundercracker has to Nitro is that his head is actually removable. It is slightly tougher to remove than Nitro's, but it can still be done, and you can use any Titan Masters or Headmasters to incorporate into the figure. It does just snap on fairly nicely. Personally, I wouldn't recommend doing it too frequently, as you may cause the joint to become very loose, and then you'll have the head flopping around much like the Nitro figure. Overall, I really enjoy this robot mode. I definitely do think that it is a very cool paint scheme on an awesome mould. He definitely does look very distinguishable upon the shelf, and he looks great when next to Starscream. Although he isn't a movie character that actually appeared in the film, I do definitely think that he does have a very awesome movieverse aesthetic, and it is nice to see Thundercracker given a mould that isn't just a repaint of Starscream. I'm now going to take you straight into Thundercracker's jet mode, as the Nitro mould has been out for quite some time now, and I did do a review demonstrating the transformation segment on that figure. Now here we have Thundercracker in his really cool looking jet mode. Now, one thing to note is that whilst I was transforming this, I did find that the tolerances on this Thundercracker figure were a lot better than that on the Nitro figure. When transforming the fuel tanks at the back, none of the bits popped off and everything came apart extremely smoothly. I think that this is a really cool representation of Thundercracker, and I am a massive fan of the overall colour scheme. If I had one complaint, it would be that the translucent yellow for the cockpit is not as vibrant as it is on the back of the packaging. As you can see on the back of the packaging, it is extremely yellow, and in hand it is extremely hard to actually tell that that is a translucent yellow cockpit. Similarly to Nitro, you can still open the cockpit up and insert a headmaster or Titan master. It does just close up. You also have one set of landing gear that does deploy. You can just extract that, and you unfortunately are unable to store away this section. He does transform extremely well, and he does hold together quite nicely. Personally, I do think that the head is slightly too large. These sections don't push down as flush as they do on the Nitro figure, so that is something to be cautious of, and perhaps maybe you should consider actually taking the head off whilst transforming him. But the jet mode is really nice. Another gripe that I kind of have is these grey pieces here on the wings. If they would have just stuck to the blue plastic, it would have looked a lot better. However, in hand, this is actually a gunmetal type of plastic, so it doesn't look nearly as bad as it did in those first images and first reviews that I took a look at. You also have storage for the missiles, as I showed you in the robot mode. They do just peg on the underside of Thundercracker, and overall it's a really cool addition to the Studio Series line. Personally, I am a fan of when Hasbro and Takara bring in characters from other mythologies and give them the Bayverse type of aesthetic. Although he's not in the movie, I am extremely glad to add this one to my collection, as it is a very cool movieverse Thundercracker, and I'm glad that we are beginning to get some different moulds for the Seekers rather than just regular repaints of Starscream. This figure is a Toys R Us exclusive as of this review, so it is extremely difficult to actually find this figure, as Toys R Us have now gone into liquidation. However, if you do come across one of these, I highly recommend that you pick it up. It's a great mould given a fantastic paint job. The head sculpt is really cool, and overall he just looks like an extremely well done figure, and definitely a figure that I think is going to be worth quite a bit in the near future. I hope that you enjoyed this more of a comparison review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below. As always, I will be producing more reviews in the future, so please subscribe, please share this video, and until my next review, I'll see you again later. Thanks for watching.